Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series, Rescue the Rockies. And last episode, our Rockies had a very strong start to this postseason. 3-0 series sweep against the New York Mets in the divisional series. So we've moved on to the National League Championship Series, where unfortunately we'll be facing the only team in the National League that had a better record than us this year, the Washington Nationals. So the Nationals will have home field advantage against us. Unfortunately, since the last series, nothing has really changed as far as the injury situation for our team. Starting catcher Mike Girard, who tore his PCL back in mid-September, is going to likely be out until June of next year, so he will not be back. Dylan Jordan, who was supposed to be our number 3 starter this year and what was likely to be his final year with us as he's headed to free agency and set to make a ton of money, pitched just 4 games for us, had elbow ligament reconstruction surgery that he's still recovering from. So we knew we weren't going to have those 2 guys for the playoffs, but we are still going to keep Colt Keith, not long time, but our third baseman / first baseman for the last 3 seasons with us. Still dealing with a strained hammy, and unfortunately his return is now unknown. Last time we checked in, it was about 3 weeks, so even less certainty about when he might recover from that. We did, as I mentioned, have a very nice performance against the Mets in the divisional series, outscoring them 19-4 in our 3-game sweep. Also got a combined no-hitter, the first 8 2/3 innings of which were pitched by Noah Schultz in the 7-2 victory in game number 2. So feel good about what we did in the first round, and now we are on to the League Championship Series. I guess it technically wasn't the first round of the playoffs. It was the first round of the playoffs for us. As we touched upon at the end of the last episode, this looks like a very interesting series. We were second in the National League in both runs scored and runs against. The Nationals slightly worse than us offensively, ranking 3rd in runs scored, slightly better than us pitching-wise, ranking 1st in runs against. And we've got a very interesting pitching matchup here in game number 1. On the mound for the Washington Nationals in his first year after signing a big, I guess he wasn't a big free agent contract. It looks like Pittsburgh just traded him to the Nationals last offseason, probably because they couldn't afford him, is Paul Skeens, 12-4 with a 4.18 ERA, 2.3 WAR this year. Still a strong and competent major league pitcher, but not looking exactly like he did in the earlier stages of his career in this sim when he was one of the top pitchers in baseball for the better part of this past decade. And he did win a Cy Young Award in 2026, and as you can see, 8-time All-Star, most recently a year ago with Pittsburgh. 32-year-old right-hander, still a very good major league pitcher, but you would have to think the pitching matchup, even though we're on the road, favors us, because we have the prohibitive favorite to win the National League Cy Young Award this year on the mound in Leo Martinez, 18-6 record with a league best ERA, WHIP, quality start percentage, home runs per 9, walks per 9, FIP minus, and WAR among pitchers this year. The right-hander off to an outstanding start in his young career. And we'll find out if we can get a win today. The matchup, as I said, favored us. We're certainly going to want to win at least one of these first 2 games in Washington to hopefully seize home field advantage from the Nationals, and as good a chance to win today as any with Leo Martinez on the mound. Unfortunately, does not work out for us. A 4-2 loss. Malachi Darvin gets the win in relief. Leo Martinez takes the loss. Home run from the still very impressive James Wood for the Nationals. And a 4-2 loss. We scored a run in the first, RBI single from Miller, 2-run homer from Wood in the bottom of the inning gave them a lead. We came back in the 8th to tie it 2-2, and then they immediately struck back in the bottom of the 8th with a RBI double from Ethan Holiday off of Martinez, who was still going in the 8th. So both Skeens and Martinez pitched well today, but we got the loss. Our only 2-hit game from the right fielder, Ted Miller. Martinez, 4 hits, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts over 7 innings, 4 runs. All of them ended up being earned. Really obviously lost things there in the bottom of the 8th where he didn't record a single out. Skeens, 1 run, 4 hits, 5 walks, and 7 strikeouts over 6 innings. So a lot going on through the 92 pitches that Skeens threw. Joan Duran, still going at the age of 36, picks up the hold. And as we noted, Malachi Darvin with the win in relief. So good start to the series for the Nationals. And we'll have to see if we can steal our game on the road with the guy who just pitched the first 26 of the 27 outs we needed to get a playoff no-hitter. So certainly a good potential matchup for us. International Free Agent Showcase started yesterday. We've already run our first international scouting practice, and we're starting to try to scout up the pool of players there. But clearly our primary focus right now is going to be the playoffs, and hopefully bouncing back with a win today. As I noted, Noah Schultz, 17-7 with a 3.42 earned run average, has the weird statistic of having a 2.08 earned run average in these playoffs, even though he has not given up a hit. The right-hander on the mound against the lefty Mitch Bratt, 31-year-old, was 12-5 with a 3.92 ERA, WAR of close to 3 for the Nationals this year. 2-time All-Star, and he was a Cy Young Award winner in 2031. So a lot of Cy Young Award winners in these first 2 games of the series. Skeens with his Cy Young Award yesterday against Martinez, who's going to win it this year. They got Bratt, Cy Young Award a few years ago on the mound, and of course I didn't touch on this, but Schultz, 2-time Cy Young Award winner before he joined us. So another real good pitching matchup. And clearly need to get this one to go back to Colorado, having taken home field advantage from the Nationals. And it does happen, a 5-3 victory. Darvin, who got the win yesterday with the loss in relief. Jackson Peavy with the win in relief for us, and Adonis Valaire with the save. He's taken over as our closer these playoffs. 5-3 victory. The Nationals actually took a 2-0 lead in the 5th, but we came back with a 5-run top of the 8th. Bryce Rayner with a single. Kevin Roberts Jr. looks like he drew a walk with the bases loaded, and then a 2-run single by Gus Nieves. Not a ton of offense again. Our only 2-hit game was our catcher, Chris Boone, but we did enough. Schultz with a respectable outing, 3 hits, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, 2 earned runs over 5 2/3. Peavy, as we talked about, with a win in relief, and Valaire with the save. Bratt, really nice performance, didn't allow a run over 6 innings, but Darvin, a day after getting the W, we lit him up. 4 hits, 2 walks, and 5 runs, 4 earned over just an inning pitched. So we did what we needed to do with that late inning rally, and we'll be heading home to Colorado, tied 1-1 in this series against the 100-win Washington Nationals. So our Rockies are home for the next 3 games. Obviously, the preference would be to just take 3 in a row at home, 4 in a row overall, and punch our ticket to the World Series, where we potentially have a rematch of last year's World Series against the White Sox, or maybe get a chance at the Rays, who a year ago had the best record in baseball but did not make it to the World Series. Very minimum, we've got to win 2 out of these 3 games at home, at least give us a chance to only need to take 1 in Washington in Game 6 and possibly 7 if we can't win at home. Interesting pitching matchup today. They've got a good young left-hander, Francisco Fernandez, on the mound. Only a 7-11 record, but a 3.28 ERA with 222 strikeouts. Led the league in BABIP and put up a 3.6 WAR for the Nationals. Andrew Painter on the mound for us, 12-6 with a 388 earned run average here in 2034. Game number 3, we get the win. Unfortunately, least surprising news ever. Derby Mahez day-to-day with a bruised thigh, so with the continuing injury to Colt Keith, that's certainly not optimal. Moderate impact on his running, minimal impact on hitting. So that is certainly not ideal. But what was ideal is that we did get a victory. We walked them off, actually. Valère with the win. Darvin, who out of the bullpen has been involved in every decision of this National League Championship Series after pitching just 5 games this year in the majors for the Nationals. Probably did not have that one on their bingo card. Anthony Pack Jr., our center fielder, with a home run. Taking a look at the box score, Nationals jumped on us with a run in the top of the 3rd. We had 2 in the bottom of the 4th, run-scoring triple from Kevin Roberts Jr., the big blow there. Added a run in the 5th to take a 3-1 lead. They came back with 2 in the 6th, but a solo walk-off home run from Pack Jr. gives us the 4-3 victory, even though we're still struggling to hit. Only 6 hits today. Our only multi-hit game was Roberts Jr., 2 for 4 with the run scored and 2 runs batted in for Mr. Roberts Jr. Painter, nice outing, 6 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, allowed 1 earned run over 5 innings. Blown save by Justin Gibson. Hannon, Little, and Valère also pitched out of the bullpen. Valère obviously getting the W. Francisco Fernandez, a nice outing, quality start with 3 earned runs over 7 innings. But Darvin, as I noted, has been involved in the decision every game of the series. Gave up that solo home run in the 9th. We'll have to think about whether there's anything we can do with Mahez. Given that it's only a week recovery time, I think we probably just let him play through it for the time being unless it gets more serious. Because if we were to place him on the playoff IL to bring somebody else up, then he's not going to be eligible for the World Series if we get there. And still have some concerns whether Colt Keith will ultimately be ready for the World Series, given that his recovery time remains unknown. So hopefully the impact on the hitting really is not all that significant, and hopefully he won't have to run too much either. And with the injury to Mahez, we are going to make one change. We're going to pull Mahez out of the lineup against right-handed pitching and put Rosnile DePaula in as our third baseman. We will continue to play Mahez against left-handed pitching as our first baseman. That should be a relatively limited amount of wear and tear. We'll see how things go starting tomorrow. Game number 4, we've got that 2-1 lead. Veteran Logan Gilbert, 37-year-old on the mound for the Nationals. 8-5 record with a 3.48 ERA. Started only 4 games for Washington during the regular season, so perhaps a bit surprising to see him on the mound. He's making $34.5 million as a vesting option for next year, requiring 25 games started, so he's not going to achieve that vesting option. Still a competent major league pitcher, but certainly not dominant anymore. We have Iverson Castellano, a guy who we picked up in a trade with Philadelphia back in July to give us a little bit of depth. We had youngsters in the fourth and fifth spots in our rotation this year. And with the injury to Dylan Jordan that we talked about earlier in this episode, felt like we wanted a little bit more insurance for the rotation. And Iverson Castellano is going to be our fourth starter in these playoffs. He was 5-2 with an ERA of over 5 after he joined us. Did end up starting 10 out of the 14 games he pitched for us. Brian Stoops and Bernie Barrera are the two young pitchers who are fourth and fifth starters most of this season with the injury to Jordan. And Stoops didn't even make the playoff roster, and Barrera, who's been slumping, is being used as a long reliever. So that means that Castellano, the veteran right-hander, gets the opportunity to start today in a very important game for our Colorado Rockies. And we get the job done. An easy 12-1 victory. Home runs from Roberts Jr. and Miller. Not surprisingly, in a 12-1 game, the starters were involved in the decision. Castellano with the win, Gilbert with the loss. Darvin just pleased at this point that he's not involved in the decision. Jumped on them early with 3 runs in the bottom of the first, 2-run double in that inning from Gus Nieves, the big one. Extended the lead to 7-1 heading into the bottom of the seventh. 2-run single by Ezekiel Tovar helped key a 5-run inning there. And our bats, which had been quiet for much of this series, finally erupted today. 3-hit games from Tovar and Miller, 2-hit game from Pack Jr., also a 3-hit game from the catcher Kyle Teal. DePaula in the lineup because of the injury to Mahez actually went 0 for 4, but Mahez did not have to play, and we won the game, so that actually worked out pretty well. Castellano, 2 hits, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, no runs over 5 innings. Barrera, who we mentioned, did give up a run in relief, and Gregorio Olvera, another youngster, pitched the final 2 innings. So Barrera, the 23-year-old, and Olvera, the 25-year-old, both of whom made their major league debut with us this year, gave us the last 4 innings of this game here today. And our Rockies are now just 1 win away from a potential return to the World Series. Let's see if we can do it at home. I mentioned that obviously the hope was to win 3 at home. Minimum viable product was winning 2 at home, which we've done at this point. Rematch of game number 1, the only game that we lost in this series with Skeens against Martinez. But we do have the home field advantage here today against the Nationals. And unfortunately, the same result as last time. We lose with our ace on the mound against their ace. Darvin, once again involved in the decision, evening his record at 2-2. Donis Valer takes the loss for us, evening his record in the series at 1-1. Taking a look at the box score, they scored 2 in the 4th. We actually came back with a run in the 5th and 2 in the bottom of the 6th. Double by DePaula, a big hit there to take the lead. But they came back to tie things with a run in the 7th, and then 2 runs in the top of the 10th to take the lead. 2-run triple by Feliz. Another game without a ton of offense. Teal continues to hit very well, 2 for 5 with a ribby, 2 hits from Ryan Stone as well. 4 ribbies from Feliz, so their shortstop was definitely the big factor offensively in this game. Martinez, a quality start, 3 earned runs over 6 innings, did strike out 11. Skeens, 2 earned runs over 5 innings, neither was involved in the decision. Another blown save from Justin Gibson, he who has been probably our highest quality reliever over the past few years overall. Not great in the playoffs thus far this year. And as we talked about, Valer takes the loss. Darvin pitches the final 3 innings to get the W. So We will be heading back to Washington, unfortunately. We've got the 3-2 lead, which is nice, but Washington, by virtue of having claimed game number 5, back on track with home field advantage, with the final 2 games being in our nation's capital. And we're ready for game number 6 of this National League Championship Series against the Nationals. As you can see, if you're looking closely, the White Sox, who we beat for our second World Series title last year, are awaiting either us or the Nationals in the World Series. So hopefully we can get the W today and not let them get too much more rest than we're going to have before the series begins. Noah Schultz, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, on the mound for us. Mitch Bratt, 1-time Cy Young Award winner, on the mound for the Nationals. We won with these guys on the mound in game number 2, 5-3, right here in Washington, hoping for a similar result today. And we are headed back to the World Series, and we are headed back for a rematch of last year's World Series with the Chicago White Sox. Kevin Roberts Jr., for the second consecutive series, is the most valuable player. He was the MVP in our divisional series that we finished up last episode. Schultz with the W. Colombe takes the loss in return. And Adonis Valer with his second save of the series. 5-4 victory. Was a 2-2 game heading into the 7th inning. We scored a run in the top of the 7th. Trent Clausen with a RBI single. The top of the 8th, 2-run single by Gus Nieves, and the 3-run lead. We needed every bit of that as they came back in the bottom of the 8th with 2. But we held on for a 5-4 victory. Kevin Roberts Jr. continues to add to his trophy case. 1 for 4 with a run scored today. Looking at the pitching, Schultz, 2 earned runs over 6 2/3 innings, allowed 6 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts. Gibson continues to struggle, pushing his playoff ERA up to close to 8. Hannon and Valer with the hold, the second hold, and the save. Colombe, as we mentioned, took the loss. Bratt with a certainly respectable performance, 4 hits, 2 walks over 5 1/3 with 7 strikeouts. But Noah Schultz is your player of the game. And as we mentioned, Kevin Roberts Jr., your MVP. He's been the MVP. He's 26 years old, keep in mind, and he's now been the MVP of 5 playoff series, both of them this year. We talked about the divisional series and the LCS. He was the World Series MVP a year ago, was the World Series MVP during our first championship in 2031, and also the NLCS MVP in 2031. So Roberts, who missed the final month of this regular season with an injury, came back just in time for the playoffs. Not going to win a 3rd straight regular season MVP award, but he is now 2/3 of the way to winning every MVP award for the series that we are playing in the playoffs this year. So a rematch of last year's World Series coming up here in 2034. And just a reminder that we swept the Chicago White Sox in the World Series a year ago, but we did have home field advantage in that World Series, and that will unfortunately for us not be the case here in 2034. As we get ready for the World Series, Colt Keith still an uncertain return from that strained hammy, so he's going to remain off the roster. Mahez, fortunately, is healthy and well from that bruised thigh, and we'll have him back in the starting lineup as our third baseman against righties as well going forward. And as we get ready for game number 1, our manager wants to pitch Andrew Painter. Leo Martinez would actually be on normal rest, but we're going to potentially set things up to have if we need to go to a game 6 and a game 7. Martinez and Schultz as the guys who would be on the mound in those games. Clearly, we're going to have to win multiple games before then for those to matter, but we'll give an extra day of rest to Martinez. I don't know why our manager has Castellano penciled in to start game number 2, because we're definitely not going to do that. But Painter on long rest right now, and Painter, Martinez, and Schultz are all going to be pitching at least, 2 games each if we go to 7 games in this series. So I guess you could argue to... actually, I may switch this as I'm talking through it. I'll think about that while I'm introducing the White Sox. 97 and 65 this year, so they were 3 games better than us. We did not play them. Very similar profile to what we were dealing with the Nationals. The White Sox first in the American League in runs scored, third in runs against. So similar to us, a team with a very strong performance. Definitely look like a better team on paper this year than they were a year ago. And we'll see if we can have a similar result to a year ago. It doesn't have to be a 4-game sweep, but if we can win 4 games against the White Sox over the next week or so, we will once again be World Series champions in Colorado. And I am going to try to overrule my manager, and we are going to actually pitch Leo Martinez on normal rest here in game number 1. Right-handed ace on the mound for us, for the White Sox. Right-hander Jerry Gomez, 25-year-old, 7-10 with a 4.83 ERA this year. Was not quite as effective for them as he was a year ago, but still a very good-looking young pitcher. We'll see if we can get this World Series off to a positive start. And we do get a 3-0 victory. Looks like Martinez must have had a pretty good game. Gomez with the loss, Valère with the save. Not hard to figure out how he scored. 3 solo home runs. Ezequiel Tovar, Bryce Rayner, and Gus Nieves with the dingers that accounted for all of the scoring in this game. 2nd inning Nieves, 3rd inning Rayner, and then the 8th inning from Tovar. 3 hits from Kevin Roberts Jr., so although he didn't score a run or drive in a run, still trying to potentially burnish that resume as he tries to ensure he remains an MVP in every World Series in which we play. Martinez, outstanding, 6 hits, no runs, no walks, and 5 strikeouts over 7 1/3. Gibson got the last 2 outs of the 8th inning, and he did them on 2 pitches, so nice to see him pitching better. And Valère with his 4th save of the playoffs. Gomez was not bad, 2 earned runs over 6 1/3, but when your team doesn't score any runs, it's going to be hard to get a victory. So a game number 1 victory for our Colorado Rockies. And as we get ready for game number 2, we will be pitching Painter today, as Schultz still would be on short rest because there was the day off in the previous series between game 5 when Martinez pitched and game 6 when Schultz pitched. So Painter now on extra rest. The veteran right-hander on the mound for our Rockies, going up against another veteran right-hander, Hunter Brown, 7-time All-Star, 2027 American League Cy Young Award winner. So as I mentioned, tons of Cy Young Award winners have been pitching in these series. 11-6 record with a 3.24 ERA and a WAR of close to 4 for Hunter Brown this year. The right-hander is still a more than capable major league pitcher. We think we've got a more than capable major league pitcher on the mound in Painter. Obviously, we did our job by taking at least 1 game on the road in game number 1 against the White Sox. Now it's time to get greedy and see if we can head to Colorado up 2-0. And we do. I saw that click through quickly before the injury here. Jackson Peavy, reliever, out for 5 weeks with elbow tendonitis, so clearly we'll be looking to try to replace him if we can. But before we worry about that, 8-4 victory Painter with the W. Hunter Brown takes the loss. 2 home runs from Ted Miller and Derby Mahez with a home run as well. Our old catcher, Drew Romo, blasts one for the White Sox against us. If you were wondering, Drew Romo, 222 average this year, 6 homers, 25 ribbies, and 352 at-bats after we traded him away last offseason rather than pay him the $12 million. Felt like Gerard was a pretty similar player to him at this point and was much cheaper and hadn't worked out horribly with Gerard except for the injury. Box score, we scored 3 in the top of the first, 3-run homer by Miller, 2 in the top of the third on a 2-run homer by Miller. So Miller alone gave us that 5-0 lead early. The White Sox did chip away at us in the final innings, but still an 8-4 victory. Monster game by Miller, 3 for 5, 2 runs, 6 ribbies, and the 2 dingers. Couple of hits from Tovar and Nieves as well. Painter gets the W, 4 hits, 3 walks, 1 earned run over 5, while striking out 8. Rough outing for Hunter Brown. Gibson and Peavy did give up runs in relief. Peavy, of course, injured while pitching. Not surprisingly that Ted Miller is your player of the game. So we are heading home with a 2-0 lead over the White Sox. And certainly the goal at this point is going to be celebrating a back-to-back World Series championship at home in Colorado. And with the injury to Peavy, we're going to bring the other young pitcher, Brian Stoops, into a long relief mop-up role. Unfortunately, both Stoops and Barrera remain in slumps. So certainly if starter gets chased early, we definitely don't have an ideal situation with those two now potentially pitching important innings for us in the playoffs. But we're 2 wins away with the next 3 games at home, so hopefully we can overcome that loss of Peavy to our bullpen. And we've got a real interesting matchup here for game number 3 in Chicago. One of our 2 aces, Noah Schultz. The last couple years he's been 1 and Leo Martinez has been 1A. I think this year the torch has officially passed, and I guess you'd call Mr. Schultz 1A for us now, but 17-7, as we talked about, with a 3.42 ERA, a WAR of close to 6 this season, and 2-0 with a 2.57 ERA in the playoffs. He's going against the young two-way player, Connor Camo, 3rd-round pick from 2026, 13-7 with a 3.80 ERA on the mound and a 4.6 WAR for the White Sox this year. And he's also a pretty good offensive player. Hit .271, 25 doubles, 22 home runs, put up a 113 WRC plus and a 3 WAR as a second baseman for the White Sox. So very interesting matchup. Very talented players on the mound for both teams. Don't need to get too fancy here. Just need to win 2 out of these next 3 at home. Certainly would hope to win any game that Schultz is on the mound, but as I noted, they've got a good one going against us in Connor Camo, and they get an easy win today, 10-1. Another home run from Miller, 2 home runs from Jose Estran. You may remember him. He's an international free agent signing from 2038 that we did not end up signing, and he has developed into one of the best hitters in baseball. A ridiculous 366 average this year, 43 doubles, 25 home runs, an insane 213 WRC plus, and a league best 7.8 WAR as he tries to chase the second MVP award of his career. Taking a look at the box score, obviously not going to be pretty for us. RBI double from Estran in the first. They scored another run in the fourth. We bounced back with 1 in the fifth, but they erupted with 3 in the sixth, 3 in the seventh, and then they added a couple of unnecessary insurance runs in the ninth to beat us easily, 10-1. Rough day offensively for our Rockies, only 5 hits. Obviously, the only run on the solo home run by Miller. Camo, 2 hits and 3 runs scored, in addition to winning the game on the mound. 5 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts over 6 1/3, allowed just 1 run. Schultz, only 2 hits and 3 walks, allowed over 5 2/3 innings, but 5 runs all earned. Looks like Stoops may have come in and poured some gasoline on a fire when he came into the game in the in the top of the 6th inning. Perhaps not surprisingly, Stoops and Barrera, the 2 youngsters who are slumping right now, did not pitch well in relief, but they took the lumps. We were already behind by the time they came in. Hopefully we won't have to see them in these next couple of games. Hopefully we can get some easy victories here in games number 3 and 4. Certainly want to not head back to Chicago, but now we've put ourselves in a position where we've got to win both of these games for that to happen. Castellano, we talked about him earlier, the right-hander rental from the Phillies, 5-2 record with an ERA of just over 5 for us, but he was very good in his first playoff appearance for us in the NLCS. Dioris De La Rosa, the 28-year-old righty on the mound for the White Sox, 13-7 with a 4.19 ERA, but he gave up a league-high 29 home runs this year. The hope is that perhaps we'll be able to take advantage of that with the high elevation and the friendly confines in Colorado. Unfortunately, we were not able to. Another loss, 9-4. Home runs for Montgomery and Estran. We did not get a home run. Castellano with the loss. The win goes to Victor Garcia. De La Rosa pitched only 4 innings, so Garcia got the win in relief. I was looking, I saw they scored 7 runs in the 3rd and was trying to figure out how the starter didn't get the W, but it's because he didn't make it till 5 innings. But they erupted in the 3rd inning with a very crooked number, 7 runs on their way to a 9-4 victory. A couple of hits from Roberts Jr., and he walked 3 times, so a big day for him. Derby Mahez was 3 for 5. So those guys accounted for half of our hits. Castellano, a really rough outing, 7 hits, 1 walk, and 8 runs, 6 of them earned over 2 1/3 innings. We did unfortunately see Barrera and Stoops again, as well as Olvera, but give the manager credit for using probably the 3 weakest pitchers out of our bullpen in this game that also got out of control. So hopefully the high-end relievers are well rested and ready to go. The issue, of course, is we've got to actually find a game where we've got a lead and we need them to be pitching for us. So with the White Sox having taken these last 2 games, they have regained home field advantage. They've done more than their job here, taking the first 2 in Colorado. Home team hasn't won a game yet in this series. We certainly want to change that today. Rematch of game number 1, where we won 3-0 with our ace Leo Martinez on the mound against the good young right-hander Jerry Gomez. Certainly don't want to get swept in 3 games at home, so feel it's going to be real important to head back to Chicago with the lead. Would be a real tough situation to be heading Chicago down 3-2, having lost 3 games in a row, needing to take both of the games on the road. So pivotal game number 5 in the 2034 World Series here today. And we do get the win 8-2. Martinez with the W, Gomez with the loss, Estran with another home run. It's been 3 games now since we've hit a home run. Kind of a strange, or actually we did get the one from Miller in game number 1, but we were out-homered at home 5-1 over these last 3 games. But we got the win in game number 5, so we'll be heading to Chicago with a 3-2 lead, but still going to need to win a game on the road to claim the World Series. 4 runs in the bottom of the fourth. Gus Nieves with a single, RBI single from Derby Mahez, and then an RBI double from Bryce Rayner. Added a run in the third and a run in the fifth, and then 3 more in the sixth on the way to the 8-2 victory. Roberts Jr. Struck out in all 3 of his at-bats today, although he did walk and score a run. Martinez runs his record in the postseason to 3-1, 2-0 in this World Series, obviously. 3 hits, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts over 6 1/3, allowed 2 runs. Gomez takes the loss, as we talked about. Luke Little and Wellington Herrera combined for 2 2/3 innings of perfect relief, striking out 5. The bullpen will get a rest. Looks like their pitcher, Jerry Gomez, injured. Bryce Rayner also injured, being hit by a pitch, pending hand injury for him. Hopefully we'll know more about that in the next day or two, since we do have an off day while we are traveling to Chicago to get ready to play game number 6. And unfortunately, a costly hit by pitch for Bryce Rayner, broke a finger. He is obviously done for the year. The good news is Colt Keith is ready. So we're going to throw Rayner onto the injured list and open up a spot to finally bring Colt Keith onto the roster. Likely his final season in Colorado. Obviously hasn't played for us in the playoffs yet, but with the injury to Rayner, logical move to finally bring up Keith, since finally recovered from that strained hammy. And Colt Keith will go right into the lineup as our number 8 hitter against right-handed pitching. He'll move to third, which is where Mahez was playing, and Mahez will pivot to Bryce Rayner's spot as our second baseman. And potentially 2 games left in this 2034 season. We just need to win one of them, and we will be repeat World Series champions. Andrew Painter, who's been really good in the playoffs this year, 1-0 with a 1.20 ERA, going up against the veteran right-hander Hunter Brown. You'll remember we won 8-4 here in Chicago, with that being the pitching matchup. Little less than a week ago. We'll see if we can repeat that performance today, and if we do, we will be repeating as the World Series champions. And our Rockies, for the second straight year, are World Series champions, and at this point, with 3 World Series titles in the last 4 years, we can start at least thinking about whether it's appropriate to use the D word, as in dynasty, around this Rockies franchise. 6-0 victory. Painter, the winner. Brown, the loser. We won 4 games in this series, 2 of them by Martinez in games 1 and 5 when he started, 2 of them by Painter in games 2 and 6 when he started. Ezequiel Tovar with his second dinger of the series, and the veteran shortstop is your World Series most valuable player. Scored 2 in the third. That's when Tovar hit the 2-run homer. Pack Jr. added a 2-run double in the 6th, and then a 2-run single by Tovar in the 6th to give us the 6-0 victory. Tovar, obviously a monster game, 2 for 5 with 4 ribbies. Also got a couple of hits from Stone and Roberts. The top third of our order accounted for 6 of our 8 hits. Only Gus Nieves and Pack Jr. with the homer had the other hits for us. Painter finishes up a really nice playoff run for us. 3 hits, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts over 5 1/3 innings. Obviously did not allow a run. Rich Hannon and Wellington Herrera combined for the final 3 2/3 pitched. Allowed 3 hits, no walks, while striking out 3, all from Hannon. Hunter Brown, 6 hits, 4 walks, and 6 earned runs over 5 innings. So a rough finish to the postseason for him. But for the third time in 4 years, our Rockies are champions, and for the second straight season, we take out the Chicago White Sox in the World Series, although it was certainly more challenging this year than the 4-game sweep we had a year ago. So we'll be moving to the beginning of the off season tomorrow, which is where we'll finish up this episode. Obviously, good to have back-to-back championships in the books with this Rockies team at this point. You'll remember last year, if you were part of the series then, that after winning the championship, ownership cut our budget by $14 million to the $242 million that it is today. We've got a potentially very busy offseason coming our way. Noah Schultz has the opportunity to opt out of his contract. Gus Nieves is officially going to be a free agent. We've got a decision to make on Colt Keith, who's going to be hitting free agency as well, and several other decisions from potentially less prominent players. But I'd say the big things that we're going to find about tomorrow is what does our budget look like next year, and what does Noah Schultz decide as far as the final 3 years and $135 million that are on the books with his contract. Will he opt out and become a free agent after winning 2 World Series in his 3 years in Colorado, or will the success that he's continued to have here inspire him to stick around for another year? And a solid 9-11 score for our Colorado Rockies out of 1,000, 94-win regular season. Not particularly imposing, but all that really ultimately matters is whether or not we are celebrating with another World Series trophy. This was definitely a win-now team, particularly given that, as we just talked about, we knew it could be our last season with both Nieves and Schultz, depending on the decisions they make, and then some decisions that we make as the offseason gets underway. So good to get a title with another win-now team. And now the interesting and exciting work of the offseason gets underway. And it looks like there's a lot of interesting things going on. We've got an option year decision for Luke Little, which is a regular thing for us. And Noah Schultz has decided not to opt out of the contract. A little surprised by that. We've got him, that means for $45 million for this upcoming season. He was able to opt out after the third of 6 years, and as you can see, he still has player options after the fourth and fifth seasons as well. So it's going to become a regular decision for Schultz on whether or not he's going to come back, but he will be back with us next year. The uncertainty around what was going to happen with him and what the free agent market might look like, in addition to the strong young crop of outfielders we have, is part of the reason why we never extended Gus Nieves. That's certainly something that we'll be investigating as the off-season moves along, but we know that we're going to have to devote $45 million to Noah Schultz. Positively, fan loyalty increases. We're up to average, so 9 straight playoff appearances, 3 World Series titles in 4 years gets us up to average. Looks like we are going to lose a manager in California with the California League, Fresno Grizzlies, with Miguel Del Castillo leaving. Review of season goals from Charlie Monfort. Goal was to win the championship. We got that done. Attendance better, profit better, fan interest better, international amateur fines better. Gave us 5 years to win a trophy. Can't complain. So he's happy with our performance, delighted with the overall on and off field success. Need to win another championship, need to continue increasing fan interest, improve our record in road games, and build a dynasty in the next 4 seasons. What type of payroll will we have to do that? He boosted us $8 million to $250 million, so we did get a boost, but we're still not where we were a year ago. But at least it's trending in the right direction. Taking a look at fan interest, only a 5-point boost. We were at 90 when the playoffs began, so a little 5-point boost to get to 95 is positive. We've got some money available for next year, as we talked about, but we've got some big decisions to make with a big player, Nieves, Colt Keith, and of course Dylan Jordan coming off the books. Bryce Rayner we could lose as well. We've got the team option on Little. We've got a number of arbitration eligible players, so going to be a lot of big decisions for us to make when we do start moving through this off season, and those decisions are going to also include what we're going to need to do in the development facilities this upcoming off season. Before we start making any of those decisions, though, we're going to do our annual roster review and a deep dive on how everybody performed last year, their contract situations, what type of role we envision for them in the upcoming season. Good to know that we have money available, but clearly with the potential losses of Nieves, Jordan, and Keith, among others, we're going to need to be spending some of that money to fill some holes on this roster. But as I noted, with 3 titles in 4 seasons, we're going to be trying to fill those roster holes from a position of strength. Kind of weird that they have our Rockies from this season that just ended listed before the Great Britain in the World Baseball Classic this past spring. But it is what it is. 3 out of 4 World Series titles for us, as we talked about, 9 straight playoff appearances, and it's going to be another busy and interesting off season. But the fact that we have dug out of a very significant hole in terms of where the fan loyalty was, and we've gotten it up to average over these past few seasons with 3 upgrades over these past few years, is a really big step in the right direction that hopefully will help ensure that the financial pressures we've been dealing with for a good chunk of this series will not be as acute going forward. And we'll start thinking about a strategy to handle the financial situation that we have ahead of us for 2035 in our next episode. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.